Grazie, Presidente. Buongiorno a tutti. So I'm very sorry I can't say more than these few words in Italian, and I'm even more sorry that I have to do it in English, because French and Italian are very close languages, but we have to speak a third language. That's the way things are. And finally, I would like to apologize for La Signora Laurence Franceschini, who couldn't come today because she is right now at the Senate, the Parliament, for the discussion of the draft law I'm going to talk about now. Regarding piracy, I won't take much time on the phenomenon. It strikes France as well as Italy, as well as other countries of the EU. Just two quick figures: 1 billion musical or audiovisual works are illegally exchanged on the web in France per year. 1 billion, and the results are dramatic. Over the past 5 years, the turnover of the music industry in France has been divided by 2, minus 50%. So that's a very clear impact. For cinema and audiovisual, this phenomenon has developed later, because the throughput necessary are more important, but now clearly it follows the same tendency, same trend, and already over the past year in France, about 500,000 films per day were downloaded illegally, so that's already very significant. So at the same time, there are reasons for hope, because in the same time, there is a real development of legal online offers of music and cinema. In Europe, for instance, more than 340 video-on-demand services existed last July, so that's a quite important augmentation compared to last year, more than plus 30%. So it's significant. Regarding music, well, there are now hundreds of services, various services of legal music services online, with different models, downloading or streaming, etc. But what is clear is that for the moment, this development of online legal offers is not enough, far from being sufficient to compensate for the loss of revenue caused by piracy, by illegal downloading. So this is a very clear diagnosis, and it's really an enormous challenge we are facing in all European countries. Common challenge, not only to save or to rescue a musical or audiovisual artists industry as they are now or as they were a few years ago, but really to set the conditions for entirely new economic models online, to create the conditions for, so to say, a sustainable growth of all this sector. So it's a global action we are needing here. Not only one category of stakeholders should work on it. Not only one kind of measures should be taken. It's really a holistic approach we need, and clearly doing nothing is not an option now. And that's a very clear conclusions that were taken at the Council of the EU. We have worked on this. I think my colleague mentioned it. We have worked on this over the past month, and next month, on the 20th of November, the Council of the Ministers of Culture and Audiovisual in Europe should adopt formally conclusions which are really very clear on this point. So now that this is said, what is the French approach to this problem, to this very complex problem, I have to acknowledge? For us, clearly the thing is we should not take separately the fight against piracy and the development of legal alternatives, of legal online offers. These really should be done in parallel. To say it another way, our aim is to make piracy a useless risk. To make it a risk, and a real risk, that means to explain that it's not legal, that it's really harmful, and to make a useless risk, to make it useless because there should be a real alternative legal offer. So what does it mean? The legal offer part first. It means a number of actions, a number of efforts to be taken, especially by right holders, and these are necessary efforts, such as, well, having attractive prices, such as having easy access to the offers, not something which is too technological, too complicated for people who are not always very familiar with the computer environment. Also, and this is very important, to have a wide spectrum of offers, because if people go online and can't find what they are looking for elsewhere than on pirate platforms, then what's the use of what's the incentive of going to pay on legal offers? It means also offering new films, for instance, not too long after they were released in the showrooms, because and this is a problem, for instance, in France, maybe more even than in other countries. But today it's only after 7.5 months that the films may be available on video on demand platforms. That's really too much. So there's some work to be done there as well. And last but not least, there's an effort to be done on technical measures, on DRMs, because and it's been a lot of years it's been said that DRMs are not enough transparent, that DRMs in fact prevent or deceive people because they see that they can't use what they have bought legally the way they would like to use it. So this is really something that has to be tackled by making it more transparent, or even in some cases by just suppressing these systems if it's really necessary. So that's the part of really fostering the development of legal offers. The other part that should be done in parallel is fighting piracy. So, of course, today the law exists. The law is a repressive law. 300,000 euros, 3 years in prison. Now, great, but that's completely disproportionate when we talk about individual acts on small scale and without any commercial purpose, which is the very large majority of the cases. It's clearly not the right answer, and it's not something that people understand. People understand it even the wrong way, which is, but what's this? It's a big major who are full of money and who want to put my son in jail because he just downloaded a few things. Okay, that's really a problem we have here. And also, it's not very credible because, well, everybody knows that courts do not have the means to handle all the cases that would come on this basis. So that's the situation we have now in France, and there's a similar situation in a lot of countries around. And to get out of this system, which is only judiciary and repressive, what we are now trying to implement is what we're calling this réponse graduée, graduated response, or 3 strikes response, which is first and foremost to explain, to sensibilize people on the issues, the stakes of piracy. Of course, that it's illegal, that's one thing, but also that it harms the remuneration of creators, of artists, and that finally it harms the renewal of creation itself. So that's really a message that has to go through, and it has to go through by all relevant means. I heard, I think, President Assuma talking about schools, if I understood a few words in Italian, schools, but it can be also artists themselves who mobilize and who, for instance, do short films. Or so really all such actions have to be done. Also, internet service providers have to do their share there because they are in contact with their clients. So they have to inform them through the contracts and through other means when they have the contact with the client. So that's really the first step, that explanation, really. And then second step is, well, if that's not enough, and in some cases it's not enough, of course, then to send targeted messages to people who have illegally downloaded. First, email, that's quite easy, but to inform them that hey, they have done it and we know it. And then if they go on doing this, then a postal letter. And finally, and as really a last resort, if for the last cases that remain, for people who have done it repeatedly, then sanction, but sanction which would be proportionate and which would be in relation with the act, with what they have done.